long inured by, recording in progress. If you'd been long indentured by the world and you'd had so much weight and energy on you that was in servitude of denial, it would often be very, very difficult for someone to, especially a newer person, let's say, and it's not that there's really a new people and not, but it's just a way of talking. It would be very difficult for someone to stand up and suddenly declare, I am the Christ with you. I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm whole and perfect. That's it, you know, and then allow for whatever denial of that to be the next thing that shows up to be confronted by, okay, which is where that defenselessness and everything comes in after that. But in making a declaration, you're actually stepping into an integrity that you're not aware of. All right. So if I stand up and let's say in a class situation like this, and I stand up and I say, I'm the Christ, I'm not Dave, I'm not a body, I am formless, I am spirit. All right. I'm making that declaration in front of witnesses. And I have to stay true to that declaration with no idea how that's going to look. How the hell do I stay true to that? I don't even really know what that is. Right. So this is from the unenlightened perspective. I don't know what that is. Jesus tells me that I'm a spirit, or I am spirit, one with all things. I'm making that as my declaration. That's going to then be my bottom line, my line in the sand. Okay. I don't want to compromise that. I'm obviously going to compromise it unintentionally, or maybe intentionally. I mean, it's all intentionally, but I obviously am going to compromise it, but I'm going to be watchful for my thinking that allows myself to compromise it. Okay, so people, and especially, you know, the saying that a prophet is never welcome in their own home. Those that know you best, when you stand up and say, I am the Christ, they're going to be like, what have you been smoking? You know, who have you been hanging out with? Like, what's going on for you? Are you okay? You know, all this sort of stuff. And if you try to tell them that, oh, yeah, but I've just found this book and I'm doing it and whatever, they're going to think you're like crazy business. So you can imagine what it was like 2,000 odd years ago when Jesus, the disciples, and whoever, any prophet really, if you go Isaiah or Moses or anybody, anyone stands up and says, look, I'm a servant of the Lord and I'm here to tell you something, automatically, because you're instructing like the external fabric of time and space, automatically that external fabric is going to try and shut you down because its true nature is denial. Okay. It doesn't want you to be the Christ. It doesn't want to allow you to be whole and perfect as God created you. And it's only when enough of us come together who finally looked at the world and gone, this is ridiculous, let's rearrange our thinking, that we allow each other this space by the grace of God to stand up and say, I'm going to start my journey here, and I'm going to proclaim my Christhood in the world in a place that is only designed to convince me that I'm a body. All right. Of course it has to convince me I'm a body. This is an experience of separation through which I'm transiting in an application that we call awakening to reality, or awakening to truth within our own experience, that even though I can see it differently, a prophet is never welcome in their own home. It's never going to allow me that open-ended declaration, right? Because everything in time and space is encapsulated and closed. As soon as you say you're the Christ, there's no reference for that in the world other than Jesus or whatever, and nobody knows what that is anyway. All right. So the world will always try to contain you and hold you into some kind of temporal reference to convince you, right? You have to keep your finger on your nose, to convince you that you're wrong about being the Christ. Okay. So awakening is like where Jesus says it's like climbing a very steep mountain, and the going is hard and the way is rugged and all. It is. It's full on until you get to a certain point where you've made enough out of your declaration that either everyone that knew you before's run away and thinks you're crazy, or you've have other people that you've sort of gathered to you energetically that are willing to support you in the idea of that you are the Christ. Right. And if we were to look at Jesus as that example, the most prolific one I'm aware of anyway, for someone to be able to do what he did to heal the lepers and turn water into wine and all of those things. And then he suddenly stands up and says, I am the Christ and so are you. It's like, well, you may not know what that is, but you would certainly give him the benefit of the doubt. All right. So here we have each other. We have faith. And Jesus says, where two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst of them. So when we have our light meditation, we enter in to that circle. We're saying in our hearts and minds, we're saying, yep, I'm ready to take a step here. I'm ready to enter into a declaration of service, a willingness to heal and be healed. The whole thing, like everything goes on in a light session. And I don't want to scare anyone, but I've seen people thrown across the room like by unseen energies, and for a period of about 3 years, I would collapse to the floor. I would get hit by the light and my legs would buckle, just like an electric shock would go through my body, and I would find myself on the floor and I would just get back up and do it again and again and again and again. And some of the phases that you go through I don't want to call it metaphysical work, in transformation, some of the phases that you'll find yourself going through in transformation, if you really throw yourself into it, they can last for quite some time. And in the lessons, Jesus says, you may have many light episodes as we go along, right? And it's like, these are not ends in themselves, but they are a means to an end. They're showing you that true sight is beginning. That's also what we're about in our light meditation. We enter into that circle for an experience, because experience is the teacher. Concepts are nothing. Okay. All my words, everything I'm telling you now, it's rubbish. It doesn't mean a thing. Okay. Experience is what means something. So we enter into our circle with the willingness to play whatever part. Okay. Now, Jesus had 12 disciples, and like he's a common reference. I'm just going to keep using him for a minute. 12 disciples. If you would, and I don't want to get into numbers because I know people think about numerology like it's something, and it's nothing as well, just like anything else is nothing. But there are the 12 tribes, 12 months, 12, everything's 12, and so the 12 great rays that extend out from God. And having seen those 12 great rays, I know that those 12 great rays are a thing. Every other 12, I'm just making it up. But you enter in not knowing what ray association you are. Okay, now, this is really hard to talk about. So my teacher, Ted, used to say there are like 12 different types of people on the planet. We're all mutations of a single kind, and we mutate. But there's 12 vibratory associations, and then I'm sure there are mutations off that. But we're all coming back to the one. Okay, some of us come from this side of the mountain, some from that side of the mountain, but we're all climbing the same mountain. So when you enter into a light session, when we do it, when we have a circle that we enter into, I often find that, especially new guys, I stand there with their eyes open, looking at others and like, what are they doing? Because you don't know what's going on. What are they doing? And you stand there looking at others, they've got their eyes closed and they're trying to get into their zone, and into their surrender. So whatever's going on for somebody else isn't you. Okay. So the light session is the last admission of separation, really, but it's within the coming together, within that idea of we're joining into a singular circle, we're joining into a singular purpose, a singular everything, that we experience union of mind. Okay, now that can be kind of freaky at first. If you've never joined in mind with someone, and it's not that you're joining in, it's not like telepathy where there's a your mind and a their mind, it's the one mind. Okay, we're all one. So joining in mind is joining in your true mind, which is still you as you think you are, right? It's almost impossible to talk about this, but it's still you, but it's you as in the higher you. I don't know how to put that, but anyone a Star Trek fan here? Travis is like, yeah, I like Star Trek. I just don't want to say that out loud. So on Star Trek, they have the Borg, right? So the Borg are an agglomeration of aliens that operate as a single unit. There's millions of them or whatever, but they operate as one mind. So one of them on the other side of the universe can communicate with another one on the other side of the universe, not because they have a way to communicate, but because they're actually only one of them appearing as many. Okay. That's about the best way I can describe it. I really can't, but it can get kind of hectic. All right. So a light session this is a journey into fear. We're all aware of that. A Course in Miracles is a journey into fear. It's a journey to confront our blocks and to remove them with forgiveness. Right? It's not a journey into aren't we all wonderful and this is peace and love and rainbows. It's getting dirty with it. All right. So a light session can bring all that up. It can bring up all that emotionality and all that fear. And if that happens, that's awesome. That's what's meant to happen. Okay. And we're surrendering what we think reality is, which is fear. Right? Even our good stuff, we look out the window, isn't it a beautiful day? No, that's fear. That's death. That's just an illusion, right? It's as much an illusion as the stuff we don't like about it. Okay, so one chair on the Titanic is all chairs on the Titanic. Okay, doesn't matter who gets the better view. It's all going down, right? So we're entering into our light session with the recognition that I'm here to surrender to my Father. I'm here to surrender my will to thy will, in the recognition that it's just the one will, right? If I truly just want love, I've got nothing to lose. As soon as I think there's something to lose, as soon as I think there's something to be fearful of in there, within me, I'm going to be proven wrong by it, by the nature of the experience that I'm having. Does that make sense? You can't experience love and then be fearful of losing love, because true love, you realize it as everything, what everything is. There's nothing outside of it to lose. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like if God is everything, whatever you fear, whatever comes up, must be not that. Okay, so to fear losing whatever it is that's bringing up that, you know, and people, kids are generally the first thing that parents will cling to. What about my kids? What if I disappear into the light and I don't come back? Who's going to look after my kids? And it's like you have to disappear into the light to see what reality is, to understand how ridiculous that concern actually is. Right? It's like a bird trying to describe the feeling of flying to a jellyfish that's never been in the sky, you know, but each one has their own reality, but they're completely different, but they're completely capable in that reality. Does that make sense? So does that answer it, Doug? Cool. So it's really just a willingness. It's a willingness to enter in. Yep. It's a willingness to enter in to an association that is completely dedicated without any without any compromise. All right, no compromise. Thank you. Teacher of God, accept no compromise, where death plays a part. So it's literally a portal. It's a doorway, right? It's no different in a sense to an individual meditative effort where you might sit at home by yourself and attempt to enter into a light experience that way. But the sum of the parts is not greater than the whole. Is it? No, hang on. What's that saying? You know, it's like the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. Anyway, but the more that awaken, and the more that join in, the greater the power and the greater the availability of light. Right? We come together to make a whole. So we'll do that a bit later on. But I wanted to get into, before we do that, I wanted to get into forgiveness. Okay, so the last couple of Zooms, we've been looking at watching our cycles. Okay, watching the repetitive nature of what goes on in our lives energetically as an emotional reaction, an emotional signature, so that we can identify our cognitive habits, okay, and make changes there through prayer. Okay, so, and now I want to get into forgiveness and how it is that brings about the collapse of time in your own association, because the purpose of time is to learn to use it to your advantage. And the whole point of the course is to learn to collapse time from the alpha and the omega to the here and the now where we actually are. So I think last week I touched on the idea that when you identify a cycle, when you identify something that's going on, and you can, pardon me, these biscuits are getting me, you can easily pick up on it by any disturbance to your peace of mind. Okay, my peace of mind seems to be disturbed by something. And if you're not keeping yourself in a safety zone, in a little, bubble of comfort, you're going to be disturbed by things, which is why get out in the world, go and do stuff, join football clubs or whatever, and meet other people that are going to push your buttons, because those things are actually useful in this. And do whatever you got to do, right? You listen to your heart. I need to do something. I feel like I need to change somehow, right? It's not that you want to change the landscape, particularly of your physical environment, but you need something to change in here, because you can tell when you're stagnant. You can tell when you're comfortable. You can tell when everything seems to be just okay, And so forgiveness, right? So if we're reading the course, we understand that forgiveness is not really for others. It automatically extends to others as we forgive ourselves, okay? Because we're refusing to continue to project blame, project guilt outward, and taking responsibility for what we see out in the world as a reflection of our own thinking, right? And I like the analogy of the mirror. Some people nowadays call it shadow work or dark work or whatever, and I'm happy with it either way. But I like the mirror. I grew up in my 20s loving the book The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, where he outlines beautifully how everything is the mirror of the mind. And I like the idea of the mirror. So, and I want to do this one with you guys, because there's a lesson in the course that says, when Jesus is talking, it's one of the early lessons. I've got a copy here somewhere. But anyway, he says, think of someone who annoys you. Right? Think of someone who upsets you, or close your eyes, think of someone who upsets you. And then the very next sentence, he's like, you know who it is already. It's like, you don't even have to think about it. It's like, as soon as you think about the idea of being upset, bam, there's a picture. Bam, there's an idea. Bam, there's a thought. Something that happened. Someone cut me off. Oh, and there's a funny one. Like today, some guy tried to cut me off in traffic, but we had the identical car. So I don't know if they were trying to race me to the overtake point or not. But anyway, and I got really excited about it. Here's this other car exactly the same as mine, and we're both racing where the two lanes merged to one. And I was speeding up naturally. He realized I was speeding up to get in front of him because we were side by side. And then he tried to speed up, and it became this kind of thing. And I started laughing, and he gave me the finger and drove off in front of me, which made me laugh even more. But, it was, I forget where I was going with that now, but it was kind of funny. But something, whatever pisses you off, and I remember, and I was driving home thinking, oh, that was really cool. I didn't even give him the finger back. It's just like, bless you, and on you go. And it's funny to watch people's reactions to things, but it's just my reactions. It's just my thoughts and my ideas, So when you take responsibility for your thinking, if you miss things, things like that show up. If you miss things, you get the opportunity to keep doing this. Okay, it's like, oh, it's me. Oh, that's me. I've got to take responsibility for this, for absolutely every little thing. So forgiveness being the mirror. Okay, I look at someone else, and the temptation is, and I'm using the collective I I look at someone else, and the temptation is to want to say, that person did something to me, right? Or that person owes me a favor, or that person owes me money, or that person's jealous, or that person's inconsiderate, whatever it is, okay? If the finger's pointing that way, it's always got to come back here, because the mirror out there never lies. It doesn't matter how advanced you get in your own spiritual determination to transcend conceptual points of view. It never lies. Doesn't matter whether you reach enlightenment, the great boom shankar, and then you find yourself back here on earth. The mirror never lies. It always shows you exactly where you're at. And so as soon as you fall in, and this is something that pretty much all spiritual students fall into, this little trap of thinking that they're somehow suddenly beyond finger on the nose because I've had an experience, or that's not me anymore. That person doing that thing, that's me, how I used to be. And it's like, no. If you're still reacting to it, if you're still making up a story about it in any regard, it's still you, still me. Okay, so there are a lot of little cunning ego tricks, and you have to understand how your ego works. But there's a lot of cunning little ego tricks that on the spiritual platform, because that's as high as the ego can get, on the spiritual platform can keep you in this kind of stasis for ages. All right. So one of them is defending, like that main one is defending yourself with a spiritual concept. Okay. It's not me, it's you, dear one. I fell into that trap for like 3 years, right? Things would happen and I would always want to project it back out rather than take responsibility for it. But literally the path of peace is to take responsibility for absolutely everything. Okay. The ego would always try to save face and have this little kind of moment of, but you can't. Eventually everything falls apart. Everything's exposed. All hidden thoughts are brought to the light. And so when we do our light meditation, I always enter into a moment of communion with no idea. All right. I'm just, here I am, Lord. I've got no clue, no idea. All my lumps and bumps, all my guilt, all my unworthiness, everything that is false about me. Otherwise, what am I doing it for? God doesn't need me to stand in my circle and be holier than thou. This is about healing. And it's like, I need to be able to present myself to God, to my creator, exactly as I find myself. To thyself be true, not as I think I should be because I've suddenly found a spiritual book that says I'm the Christ. It's like, that may be one thing. I am the Christ. That's the truth of me. But I find myself back here in a world where I'm beset with all these other ideas about things that I did yesterday or things that might happen tomorrow and everything else, that I need to be in the continuance of surrendering again and again and again as a discipline of mind, retraining my mind to be actually automatically doing that 24/7. All right. And there's a little bit in the AA program that they say, work the program until it works you. And there'll be a part in your own mind where you realize that you're forgiving things or that you're letting go of things without actually having to sit down, do your lesson, or sit down and think about it and review the situation. You'll be like, holy cow, that would have sat with me for days. I would have had a grievance about that for a week. And then all of a sudden it's just like, whatever, let it go. And there's a genuineness to that, right? And I'm always vigilant, right? Jesus says, I'm always the liar, right? Man is always the liar. It's like every word that proceeds from the mouth of man is false, right? So let your yes be yes and your no be no. Keep it as simple as that, right? So I'm always aware when I enter into prayer that my prayers, I think we talked about this last week, my prayers are always laced with ego. They're always going to be more of an entreatment, like I want to bargain. There's nothing to heal. That's the beauty of true prayer. There is nothing to heal. The true prayer is only thank you. Okay. Ah. Ah. Oh, man. The true prayer is only thank you. Okay. In thank you, that attitude of gratitude for everything, a lesson or a blessing, in thank you, I automatically align with the flow of the universe. Okay. I know that's a very simplistic way to try and express that, but it is so simple, it's ridiculous, right? True communication is natural, which makes it the simplest thing in the universe. But because we like to overly complicate everything as human beings, we tend to want to have qualifications for every thought we have, which is why we have this historic sort of reference in our thinking for, oh, well, my thoughts about spiritual blah, blah, yesterday said this. And then let me look at what you're saying now based on that. And then let me look at what you're telling me now based on what Sai Baba told me 25, 35 years ago. Or some, Kenny G told whoever is, that other guy. What's his name? The one that just changed his name to a letter. Or was that Prince? I'm getting confused. But the reference that we have for anything true is only going to be now, right? So when we enter into our light session, you can't use a reference from the past or the future from any spiritual learning, including A Course in Miracles, as how it is that you approach God. You have to be truly authentic, okay? I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know how to do this. I've got no idea. Here I am, Lord, just do with me as you will, heal my mind, right? Now, whatever that looks like, that can look like falling down, vomiting, coughing, laughing, crying, but you'll recognize the signature, okay, when we do our light meditation, you'll recognize the signature of healing by a sense, and you'll feel it internally. You'll feel an internal sense of being drawn out or sucked out of yourself. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a whoosh kind of feeling, and then boom, there's light. Everything just goes to light. So I find that, and probably I find it because I generally only work with people that doing the course, but I find that people who've been doing the course and doing the workbook lessons generally enter into a light experience much, much easier than people who are coming at this from like being, and this is just a generalization, right? But from knowing nothing, having no mind training, because the mind training is required, right? It's a required course. It is essential. And it's very, very difficult to still the mind for a second to allow that shift to occur. No, I don't want to talk about it that way. I was going to give you an example, but I don't think that'll be helpful. So we're going to enter. We'll have a crack at it, right? I've done one on, and it's nothing amazing. It's just, well, it is amazing, but I don't know how it's going to be online here. So I wish I could see everybody's. Can we unmute all the microphones, please, Tina? Is that so everyone can talk if they want to? Because and remember, this is supposed to be an experience of entering into fear. It's a journey into fear. It's not a journey away from it. Right? We're here to confront our blocks. We're here to look at the illusions we believe in and to offer them for healing, not to pretend they don't exist or, there's quite a few people on here. Whoa, Annie. Wow, there's like a whole bunch, 37 people. All right. Annie, can you get on the front page here with me? I don't know how that works.
I think that's Kevin.
So, huh?
I think Annie's Kevin.
I don't know how. Oh, okay. Hang on.
It's Kevin.
Hey, Karen.
No, that didn't work anyway. All right, so any questions before we start? Anyone? So Michelle, see, I don't know what your layout of your screen is, but just down from me, Michelle and Dean. So we've got Michelle Capra. Michelle and Dean are actually sitting in our session room at the moment, where we ordinarily do light sessions, usually. Hey, Michelle. There we go. That's usually our room, and we go in there and we just fall to pieces, and we have a whole thing going on in there. So, no questions?
How long is it?
All right. How long is what? Who said that? Oh, there. Hey.
Hi.
How long is the light session?
Yes.
As long as you want it to be, really. If you freak out or anything, I mean, this is the very first time, as far as I know, that we've attempted an online light session. Normally I'll go around and I'll do a bit of a hands-on thing, and most people usually fall to the floor and have a kind of a reaction, but who knows?
Okay, thank you.
So if you're ready, I just want you all to take a few nice deep breaths. Okay, close your eyes. If you have some music you want to put on, that's cool too, whatever. Okay. I'm just going to the end of the thing here. Oh, there's Cole. Jesus, a lot of, thank you. So close your eyes, take a few nice deep breaths. And I just want you to kind of like imagine, you have to use your imagination in this for a second. Imagine this is the only moment there is. There's nothing else. There's not going to be a tomorrow. There was never a yesterday. There's just this moment. And you're standing here or sitting or however it is you are. You're standing here under God. Okay. We'll use that classic idea of God being above and man being below. Okay. You're standing under God and you're presenting yourself exactly as you are. Okay. For healing, for an experience. Just breathe. And you'll notice that your mind's probably trying to examine things. I'm getting a feedback from somewhere. Is that you, Michelle? Is that am I getting feedback from you?
Dave, I'm going to mute, and people can unmute themselves whenever they want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking I might just take these. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're going to be muted for a second, though. I'm going to mute everybody and then you can easily unmute yourself.
Okay.
You don't need to do anything.
I was just thinking if anyone had a question before we sort of
And
do this.
Just unmute. You can just unmute. Welcome
to a great experiment. All right, so close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and we're going to enter into that circle. It's a circle of willingness. I'm willing to forgive. I'm willing to be forgiven. I'm willing to heal and be healed. I'm here for an experience. And you kind of have to feel it, not just because I'm saying the words. You've got to feel it. Get in touch with your heart and mind together, okay? The heart is the passion, and the mind is the place where you make the decision. And you've got to feel it in your heart that you want to enter into an experience of communion with God, right? In that wanting, you're not really wanting anything per se because you already are in that experience. You're simply allowing yourself to come under the guidance of one who knows how to reconnect you, right? The Holy Spirit. Because you believe you're disconnected, not because God thinks you're disconnected. Okay? So the Holy Spirit is our medium of communication. Okay? And allow everything else to go. Obviously, your minds are you're gonna be having thoughts about, am I doing this right? Or what am I doing? How do I surrender? I don't even know how to surrender. All of that stuff is simply not surrendering, okay? When you try to work out how to let go, you're not letting go. You just have to let go. Tina, let go. Stop looking at it. Ready? And I'm just going to pick on you because you're the host. Let go. Let go. You're not letting go. You're still examining what that is. Ready? Breathe. Here I am, Lord. Here I am, Father. Right? You got to feel it. You got to mean it. Yes, right there. Now stay there in that place. Stay right there. Don't adjust to it. Okay? Do not adjust. Let it go. You're here for an experience. Don't adjust. Don't examine all that emotionality that's coming up. Let it happen. Just let that happen. That's perfect. Yes. Thank you. Breathe. Just stay there. Just stay there as long as you can. Here I am, Lord. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're having trouble breathing. That doesn't matter. That's it. Go on. Let it go. Let it go. Man, you're right there. Go on. Push. Feel it. Allow yourself to feel. Go on. Don't adjust. Don't try to make it better. Here I am, Father. Yes. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. You felt that, right? Good. Thank you. You feel it in your heart. It's like it just starts in your heart. Whoop. All right. Now just stay there. Don't try to work it out. Yep, that's it. Yep. Just stay there. Let that fit. It'll grow. If you don't examine it, it'll grow. As soon as you get into a place where you try to examine what's just happening for you now, you're going to push it away again. Okay. So breathe. Here I am, Lord. Stay in your circle. Okay. Travis. Focus. Focus. Okay. Don't go astral with this. Stay in your body. Okay. Feel. In your case, you're going to feel pain. Okay. Emotional pain. Let yourself have it. Let yourself feel it. Okay. This is what surrendering is. We're not here to be spiritual and be nice and be perfect. We're here to be wounded humans. We're here with all our bumps and lumps and all the lessons that we failed to learn and the lessons that we hope we don't have to go through within the future. All of that. We're here to be magnificently vulnerable. We're not here to be tough, to be strong. Open your heart, open your mind. It's all good. It's okay to feel stuff. All right. In this case, we're going to feel pain. We're going to feel that fear. All right. I want you to just reach out and take Wendy's hand beside you. Okay. You guys have a soul connection. You've got this whole thing going on. Right. Let that be your dedication. There you go. Woo-hoo! Yes. Stay right there. Stay right there. Feel it. Here I am, Father. Here I am, Lord. All of you, it's the same thing. Doug, get in touch. Yes, yes. Feel. It's okay to feel. It's okay to go in and like, God damn it, you know. This is the journey of life. You got to have the feelings with it. You got to allow yourself to acknowledge it. It's too easy to change the channel on the television when there's stuff we don't like. It's too easy to look the other way in the street. But it's not on the television. It's not in the street. It's in us. It's in my mind. What I see out there is the reflections of a thought that I'm trying desperately to get rid of in my mind that tells me that I'm separate from God. I'm not separate from anything. Here I am, Lord. I'm responsible for all the pain in the universe, for all the suffering in the universe. Whatever suffering I see in others, it's my suffering. It's not out there in the world. I need to free my mind from it so that I no longer project out onto situations the miscreative thought processes that seem to keep me separate from everyone and everything. I'm the Christ and so is my brother. That's all I want. That's all I want to see. That's the only recognition I want to have 24/7. But to do that, I have to purify my mind. I have to see where it is that I've been buying into the illusion in my own heart, in my own mind, and allow that to come up for healing. Feel, get in touch. This is a dedication you're giving to yourself. That's it, Travis, that's it. Take a deep breath. Feel it. I know you can feel Wendy right beside you, okay? She's not beside you, she's in you, you're one. Feel it, there is no separation. Cassie, good. Don't go astral, stay in your body. Don't try to transcend the physical nature of things, stay in it, that's it. Oya, yes. Feel, feel. Go deep. Dean, you ready? Yes, there, right there. There you are. All right, this is awesome. Beautiful. Yes, stay there. Dean, breathe. Take a deep breath, breathe. Yes. Michelle, the same. I'm gonna scroll over here. We've got a Donna and Shane. This is Jason, Courtney, Mercy, David. Breathe. Okay. Let go of every thought you think. Let go of every thought in your mind that you think how to do this. I have no clue how to step into a circle of dedication this powerful. I have no clue how to surrender to God. And that's your saving grace. If you knew how to do it, you would have done it by now already. But your ego would have corrupted it. Okay? You have to go in completely innocent. It's like, I have no clue how to do this, Lord. I need a miracle. Literally, I need a miracle. I want to let go of all of the past. I want to let go of all my concerns about my future. I want an experience of the truth of me. Breathe. Feel. Mercy. Yes. Good. Here I am, Lord. Thank you. Deanna, don't go transcendent, Deanna. Stay in your body. All right. Don't try to sort of rise above where you find yourself. All right. This is not like a Buddhist meditation where we try to transcend the conscious level for a second. We're staying right in it. We're staying in the thick of it, in the dark of it. This is a journey into fear. And together we're going to take one step into that journey into fear. And we're going to look at our own personal nightmare, our own personal lack of forgiveness. Whoever it is that upsets us, whatever situation seems to be bothering us. Here, Lord, take this from me. I have no use for this. I would give up the world and follow Jesus. I would give up the world and return my mind to you as it was created and given to me, pure and whole and perfect. Ready? Breathe. In through the nose, out through the top of the head. Woo-hoo! Yes, feel. Jason, feel. Stay in your body. Ready? Shane, same thing. Donna, focus. It's hard to get human beings to focus. Usually our sense of focus is about 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, so we're doing well. Breathe deep in. Okay, when opera singers breathe, they push their stomach out and it gives them a full breath. All right, so we're going full breath, slowly. Here I am, Lord. And just keep breathing and allowing for that vulnerability and that willingness to enter in. Like we're just repeating, it's a dedication. Here I am, here I am, here I am. Every time the mind gets distracted, what was that noise outside? Maybe I put the kettle on. Don't buy into that. Bring yourself back. Bring yourself back to your center. Here I am, Lord. Yes, Courtney, good. Yes. Thank you. Breathe. Breathe. Here I am, Father. You got to feel it. Here I am, Father. Here I am. You are worthy to love and to be loved. You are worthy to love and to be loved. Stand in that place. Here I am. I am worthy to love and be loved. I'm a child of God. I'm guilty of nothing. Here I am, Lord, returning home at last, opening my heart and my mind at last. Breathe. Terry, good. Ida, good. Susan, Sharon, Bethleen, Skylar, Nikki, Laura. Oh, there's a whole bunch. Okay, breathe. I'm going to go back to the front page here for a second. You have to let yourself receive. Ready? There we go. You know, human beings are terrible at receiving. Human beings are terrible at receiving. We're also pretty crap at giving, but, you know, giving makes sense because giving, we can get a validation, but in receiving, we need to allow ourselves to be validated. Okay? This is a validation from God. The only one worthy to validate you is God. God is your creative source. Okay? My validation, the validation of your peers, all of that is nothing. We're equal. We're completely equal. There's nothing about me that is any different from anything in you. Breathe. Woo-hoo! Here. Woo-hoo! Feel. Feel. Yes. Wendy, that's good. Dean, good. Yes, Cassie, stay there. Right there in that place. Don't examine it, just stay there. Yes. Stay there. Feel it. Feel it. Go on. Let yourself have this. Let yourself feel it. Yes. Yes. There's enough passion in there to move a mountain. It's like if you want to scream, scream. If you want to cry, cry, whatever. It's like, don't try to stifle it. Don't try to put a cap on this. Feel it deep, deep, deep. We like to live in these kind of like little superficial references for ourselves. We get so good at like narrowing everything down. I'm like this and I'm not like that. It's like, no, I'm everything. I'm one with everything. All of a sudden, all the boundaries, all the walls have to go. I'm one with the universe. What am I going to try and put a boundary against? You know, what am I going to try and not feel? We've become very, very good at denying our feelings. Very, very good at pretending it doesn't matter. That's all right. It's like, no, it matters. It totally matters. Your happiness totally matters, right? Your healing totally matters. Let's not limit it in any way. You are totally worthy. You are a child of God. Uh-oh, battery. I'm going to have to... All right, I'm back on here, but... Flip this. Oops. Oh, there we go. Yes. Yes. Breathe, Donna. Breathe. Deep breath. That's it. Good. Yes. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. All right. Feel. You've got to be authentic with this. You can't come to this whole and perfect. All right. The experience we're coming to for this or through this is one of our wholeness and our perfection. Oops. So for some reason, my battery's not recharging. I'm on very, very low battery. Good, Nikki. That's good. Bethleen, close your eyes. Breathe. That's it. Find that place, heart and mind together. Here I am, Lord. Here I am, Lord. Yes. I don't know if my battery is actually charging. Oh, yeah, it is. No, 9%. So. Good one. Thank you, Donna. Oh, beautiful. You guys are going to have fun when you go back through this and watch this again and watch everyone who's like, you know. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Aya? A-I-U-A? Aya?
It's Ewa.
Ewa. Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
That's familiar to me from something. I don't know where, but I want you to look down, Ewa. Just look down, just sort of relax a little. Breathe. And I want you to try and let go. Do you do other things? Do you do like other meditative kind of things? Yeah. Okay. So it'll be a little difficult. So I always find that guys that come to this from other disciplines always have that kind of training of how they do something from that. And it's really hard to kind of like enter into a moment of complete letting go of even that, because this is a letting go of even everything I'm telling you. Okay. This is a naked moment where we walk with complete vulnerability and we enter in with complete vulnerability. And I can always tell when the other guys are from other meditative disciplines, there's this kind of cap. There's this kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of useful and it's not useful. It's useful because you're able to still the mind generally, but there's a going beyond even that. Okay. Is it a Buddhist thing you do?
Most of my background is shamatha meditation, so single focused breath. This is where I'm at right now, is more visionary.
Yep. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to say to you in this, try not to use any of that stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Try not to use any visionary. Try more to feel.
I'm good at that.
Okay. All right, good. Let's just go with the feeling. Go with the feeling, because the visionary comes from our thoughts, and our thoughts are all like, they don't mean anything. So the only thought we're having is the surrender. That's it. Here I am, Lord. And then, like in the last, are you reading the course as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So in the last 5 lessons of the course, the meditative practice is we say God is, and then we cease to speak. All right. Mm-hmm. So we're entering into that sort of state of mind where we cease to speak. Oh, I'm down to 7%. My charger is really not working. So hang on. Give me 2 seconds. But we enter into that. I'm just going to try the other socket.
Sometimes it helps to preserve the battery when you're on video if you turn your screen brightness down.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. Uh-oh. 5%. All right, I'm going. All right, we'll pick this up next week. How was that? I'm foretold that. I should be maybe I cursed it. I projected it out there. But that was good. I noticed a few of you guys had some really good responses then. All right, so if you want it, I'm back up to 6%. Maybe I am charging. But if you want to pursue this and really kind of like engage with that state of mind that enters in, maybe review those last 5 lessons. If you're on an earlier lesson, doesn't matter. Keep doing that earlier lesson, but you can also go to the last of those 5 lessons, the little review there, and just sort of pick up on that with what we were doing today, because really, essentially, that's what we're doing today.
Yes.
Okay.
So at the
and you'll get the hang of it.
I was listening to your guidance, and when you said surrender, that's when the imagery came up. So when that happens, is it just about returning to the feeling?
See what you're trying to do there? You're trying to work it out. Okay. You can't work it out.
Okay.
Okay. So when that happens, your mind's, which is all ego, your mind's going to pop in and go, what do I do now? I'm still, now what? How should I feel? It's like, no. Let that go and just feel. Right? It's the same thing as saying, well, I want to be happy. How do I be happy? Well, just stop trying to decide how to be happy and just be happy. Stop trying to decide how to let go and just let go. Okay? So there's a point where, and if you've ever been really frustrated about something, you'll know this one. There's a point where you just sort of kind of emotionally slap yourself in the face and say, just let go, let it go. and you let go of something like breaking a bad habit. No, I'm dying. I'm down to 3%. So, but you can't work out how to let go. Okay, the whole thing has to be miraculous.
Okay.
Dave, you want me to bring the laptop to you, my laptop to you, and you can just use this one?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that'll be cool. All right. I've got 4% left, but...
You'll have to turn yours off, you'll get feedback.
All right. No one go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 seconds. I don't even know if I'm off. Hang on. Leave. All right. Oh, that's so much better. I'm going to work this out for my laptop. I never use my laptop for anything. Look at that. I can see everybody. Huh? I don't know if I'm unmuted.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah, they can hear me now. That's cool. So we'll just leave it at that. So, Tina, I know you had a nice little release there, a nice little moment while we were doing that, and that's kind of cool. Courtney and there was someone else. I just want to check in. Oh, Donna. Donna had a really nice moment there. Yeah, thank you. So don't be concerned. It's like if you think that nothing's happening. All right. When I first started doing light meditations and having light moments, since Brother Dean. Dean and Michelle were just up in the other room having a complete thing going on up there as well. So I'm using Michelle's computer now. But if you think nothing's going on for you, that's not true. Okay. So what happens with the transformation of the mind is that it's not that it's a general rule, but you never get more than you can handle. And if you're not ready for something that might scare you more, it'll be sort of like put on hold for a minute, right? Which is one of the very early principles in the course. The Holy Spirit is not going to present you with something that might be seen as a threat, because we don't want to scare you off from your healing path. Okay, it takes a minute to understand that the journey into fear is helpful, because most people that come to a spiritual discipline do so from a fearful place, and they're looking for something unfearful or something that's less fearful, something better. All right. And then when you tell them, it's like, no, well, you have to go through the fear again and whatever. It's like there's generally a great reluctance to want to do that. So I find that sometimes it takes a few goes to feel okay. And I don't know how to put that, to feel ready, to feel like, yep, this is the time I'm going to do this. This is, you know, I mean, like with this framework, Zoom, we've never done it like this before. I've never done a online Zoom thing, but it's a completely different format from what I'm familiar with, which is good, but also in the same time, it'll reveal itself as to how that is that it becomes useful to the whole. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So at the beginning, when you started doing it, and we were obviously all closing our eyes and we started doing the breathing, I mean, it felt, I could feel the energy. Could you feel it?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. It was intense. It was like, and just,
Right.
you could just feel it in your heart.
Right.
Okay.
I am that energy. You look at me and you think I'm Dave, I'm a body. I'm not. Right.
Okay. It was pretty intense. Like I could really feel it intensely.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Right. Okay. So could everybody else pretty much.
Right. That's what I'm wondering. Did everyone else feel it?
Some to more or less degree. It doesn't matter. It depends upon your willingness to actually be. And words are really hard to try and convey what goes on, you know. It's like words are almost like in the way of conveying what's going on, right? But if you can imagine willingness, not as a scale, but like if I said to you, we have to go on an incredible voyage across the ocean, whatever, and that we may never come back and we might drown and we might whatever. Some of you would be willing to go all the way and you'd be like, yep, I'm in that because I've got nothing else going on anyway, you know, to reach the promised land. And others would be like, oh, maybe, you know, and that's how it is with like anything spiritual. All right. So when I say this takes total willingness, right, that total willingness to me could be the whole ocean voyage. And that total willingness to you could be just like coming down to the dock to wave goodbye, you know, but it doesn't matter. It's still willingness. But as your willingness to participate grows, as your willingness to enter into the experience of self or the experience of illumination grows, because finally you see how reasonable it is, and you see that everything else other than that just doesn't really make any sense, right? You begin to be able to avail yourself more of that light energy, which is what Deanna said she could feel it in her heart really intensely. Okay, and like Donna felt it, she just about vibrated out of the planet. Okay, are you outside or something there, Donna? You're in pitch black.
I just turned all the lights off.
But generally, I find if you're doing the workbook lessons and you've been keeping pace with your own transformation and just like being mindful for the kingdom of heaven and all of that stuff, it doesn't take long before you're able to enter into the light experience. And Jesus talks about it in the Course as the holy instant. Okay, so that holy instant is available 24/7 all the time. It's not like you're waiting for the right person to come into your sphere or into your life to present you with a forgiveness opportunity so that you can have a light experience or a holy instant through that forgiveness. You can do that in your own mind right now, right? Initially, when you start a spiritual journey, you try to make changes out there. I have to forgive John and I have to forgive Mary and I have to forgive all these people and situations and things. And eventually you realize, well, I'm just forgiving myself for my judgments about those things and the projections that I've made rather than actually the people. And you take what seems to at first have been an external application, completely internal, okay? And you're making the changes in here. Right? The holy instant exists in your mind. Right? It's that place where all of a sudden I'm still and I'm done with all my own bullshit and I just want to allow the Holy Spirit to show me what's true. I'm willing to forgive everything else and I'm willing to allow myself to be shown without any idea of how I think that ought to look, without any idea of what I think being shown might be. Which is why I was saying to Awa, where is she? I can't see her on here now.
I was actually just going to ask you a question about that.
Oh, so go on.
Similar to what Deanna was saying in the beginning, there was this intense energy and you invited us into the circle. And in that moment, I saw all of the things that I was afraid to let go of.
Right.
Go into the circle. And then I was like, fuck it. Because, just because. And I felt the pain of that in my body and I was staying really present with that. And that's when I started to cry and it was this release and surrender. But then I had this image where I saw my body's, it was almost like layers in separation.
Right.
Where what I thought was me was lifting up. And then as that was lifting, the rest of what was here dissolved into nothing.
Right.
And that was really beautiful. And I sat with that for a moment. And then as you were talking, I felt my body, you know, come back to my body and realize that there's the feeling part. So in that space, when I was in the vision of that, what was your suggestion in that space? Do I then just sit with the vision and surrender to that vision? Or do I like that? That's where I'm like, what do you mean by surrender? Because I thought that's what was happening.
Exactly. So, right, ready? You're doing it again. So what do I mean by surrender? That's you not surrendering.
Right.
Okay. So like you just said to me, you virtually answered your own question. When I'm in that place, what do I do? Do I just surrender? That was your words. Okay. It's like that place is what surrender is.
Okay. That's what I thought. But then I don't know. Then I was confused about the shift or.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Right. Eventually you get this thing happens. So one of my teachers, I've lost the thing here, Michelle. I don't know if I'm one of these.
Oh, it might have, did you touch on it?
Yeah, I touched that.
I
put my.
here we go.
There we go. I'm back. So one of the things, and I don't want you to think of this particularly as a guided meditation, but one of the things that happens with a guided meditation is you're listening generally to the facilitator, and then at a certain point in consciousness, your own transcendent or your own transcendental thing starts to kick in, and the facilitator just sort of like fades out into nothing. You don't hear my voice, you don't hear anything, okay? Mm-hmm. And your own thing, it's like, it's really hard to think, but it's like, I'm gonna tell you to enter into this situation with me, but I'm going to tell you don't listen to me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, and like, this is just the very first time we're doing this, so there's got to be this kind of framework for a minute, but eventually I'm just going to go, hey, Ava, and you're going to go, ah! Have this whole experience, right? When I look at Tina up here, ready? Right, so there. And her heart, look, ready? There. And the same with Dean and Michelle over here. Dean and Michelle have just finished the workbook some time ago, and it's like the three of us sometimes will just go up to our session room, we'll just sit there, breathe. We'll just sit there and just our minds will open and we'll just laugh for an hour, you know, just like rolling on the floor, and you can't stop. And it's not that you would even really want to stop, but it's like the mind wants to qualify what's going on. Why can't I stop laughing? Right? Because what's occurring is not of you, not of the mind that is conceptual, not of the mind that is trying to work it out, which is why we have 365 lessons in mind training that says your thoughts don't mean anything. Don't use them in this. Okay? Learn to use the thoughts that you think with God, right? Which you will discover about yourself and for yourself in the holy instant. And those thoughts will keep company with you as your mighty companions as you journey further and further inward to the black hole event horizon of your own enlightenment, if you want to call it that. I don't know how to really, you know, and you'll feel that occurring, right? So where is she? Deanna, you know, you said you could feel that intensity in your chest, right, in your heart space. When you sit with that, right, when you sit with that intensity for a while and you just breathe and allow yourself to breathe into it, it'll begin to feel like you're being drawn out. I don't know how to, and Awa, you were describing that experience, like being drawn out. So I just want to tell you that the experience that I'm talking about of self, divine self, is not an out-of-body experience. It's a no-body experience. All right? It's a no universe, no world. There is no world. It's beyond all of that. Okay? I've had several what I would call out-of-body experiences where I was aware that I was out of my body and that I still had a body somewhere. And then in the enlightenment of my mind, I had an experience where I was just pure self. There was no body. There never was a body. There was no world. There's nothing. None of that ever existed. Right? And yet I find myself seemingly back here for a minute, purifying the residue of what seems to believe in what's unbelievable, and joining with you guys in our collaborative venture that we call salvation to do that, for which I'm very grateful. So anyway, that's about it, unless anyone's got a question. Wendy, do you do sports?
I'm athletic, yes.
You are athletic, aren't you?
Is sex a sport? Because we do that really good.
Whatever that is, I'll just say yes. I really, it's been a while. I don't know. But
hey, my son's here too, and my brother.
Yeah, good to hear from you, Dad.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure he's thrilled to hear about your sporting prowess.
Hey, he's 26. I hope he's
like
okay
your
with
ears,
it.
Guy.
Well, no, you guys are just giving me more things to forgive. You're part of my healing.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
So I was just going to say, Wendy, you do athletics. Do you do running?
I ride my bike. I hike a lot. I don't run.
Bicycle
And hiking.
You know when you run and you hike or whatever, and you just get to that puffed out point and you just can't go on.
Yes.
And then you push through that point.
Yes.
Okay. So that shift in your mind that happens when you push through, when you make that decision, no, I've got a stitch, but I'm going to keep going, and you push through it, and then the stitch goes.
Yes.
That's where you're at in your meditation.
Yes.
Right. So in our light thing that we did just before, you got to that point in your meditation and you backed off because of Travis.
Yeah. Yeah. But after I let go of Travis, I kept going.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't. You're telling yourself that. You didn't really.
I didn't.
No. Because you would have taken Travis with you and he didn't.
Oh, okay.
You guys are bound. You guys have this whole thing going on.
I know. For a long time.
Right. It's in a good way. It's in a soul connection way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're twin flames.
I did it.
Yeah, I don't know much about twin flames, but that explains it. Yeah, you are. So, that's very cool. Very cool.
Well, interesting. My face got so cold and I was vibrating so high.
Right.
My hands and my feet.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff can happen. Anything can happen. Right.
Yeah.
I got very cold.
As soon as you examine it, as soon as you stop to examine it, my hands are vibrating, my feet are vibrating. And next week I'm going to tell you some stories. Okay. So I've got a bunch of stories that personal ones about my transformation, which started when I was about 23 years old. They're progressive, like all spiritual stories are progressive. You have these experiences as you go along in your life, and then they make sense of seemingly where you're at and encourage you to go further. I have a whole bunch of those. All right. And one of those is about vibrating, and I want to tell it now, but I'm not going to. I'm kind of done for now. But next week we'll do that. But that vibration that you feel, that's really cool. But don't examine it.
Okay.
The habituation is as soon as you have a shift in your mind, it plays out through the body because the body's a manifestation of the mind. It's the symbol of the denial, right? As soon as something starts to go on in the body, that's the domain of the ego. The ego then goes, "Ooh, my hands are vibrating, my feet are vibrating," and all of a sudden you're out of the flow.
Yeah. Okay, I can see how that.
And then
happens.
it takes that whole thing to get back in it again. So the mind training is literally of the course is literally training your mind to stay focused right here, right now, like boom, no matter what's going on. You know, like one of my earliest meditations was a friend of mine who was a hypnotist, and I was trying to give up smoking and whatever else was going on at the time, and she taught me how to meditate in a very vague sort of sense. She didn't call it meditation, where I would exclude every external sound, and I would meticulously focus on the sound and make a conscious decision to exclude it from my thoughts about it in order to let it go. And that was really actually quite powerful. You know, like the kettle would be boiling, for example, and I would think about the kettle boiling, and then I would instruct my mind, I don't need to be thinking about the kettle boiling. But I had to allow that boiling sound to really be annoying or really be there for a second to let it go. And I was able to go into a much deeper state then, but it wasn't like what we're doing now, but it was just an interesting, you know, beginning. So anyway, any questions? Anyone? Anything?
Well, I just wanted to say that I think this healing light experience, having an experience with this group of like-minded people, I think is extremely valuable, and I feel very, very lucky to have this experience. You know, words are one thing, but this direct experience with you and everybody, I think, is very, very healing, and I just wanted to tell you that.
You felt it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Good. You felt it up here, didn't you? Up high in the chest.
Yep.
Above the heart. Yep. That's good. Drink plenty of water, Doug.
I shall.
Okay? You don't drink enough water. Drink plenty of water.
True.
I guess it might just be, you know, like a first time kind of thing. And I missed part of the pre knowledge before we got into the meditation. My bad.
Yep.
It was a little late. But I got me very much thinking of the meditation that we learned over in Costa Rica with the choose again stuff, where it's just choosing the single word and repeating that and kind of getting into that oneness state. And it was funny because with your commentary along to the rest of the group, it was actually spot on for a lot of my experience as well. And then I got into that thought stasis. It was like, oh, here's the qualifying factors to letting go. Oh man, I'm still letting go. And it was just this stutter step kind of thing going on. But
I've heard about those guys in Costa Rica doing all that stuff. I'd love to go there one day. It'd be kind of fun, I think.
it's a good time. But thank you for the opportunity to join in the group, and looking forward to
brother, you are
working
welcome.
this out.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's like truly, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
All good. Anyone else before we go?
I just want to say something really quick because
hey.
Hi there. Hi.
Karen.
When you said, when Travis, you were working with Travis and you said to him, hold Wendy's hand. And then you said she was one with him, and you know, they were one. And when you said that, I could automatically see, I lost someone dear to me recently. And for the first time, I could see that even though he's not sitting right next to me, as Wendy was sitting next to Travis, he's always with me. And I got the connection for the first time that he's not dead. So I just want to say thank you for the beautiful experience as well.
Thank you. No one dies. No one dies ever. There is no such thing as death.
I see that now. Thank you. Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know,
I laughed at my grandmother's funeral so much that I had to go outside. I had to excuse myself, and everybody didn't understand. And I was 20 years younger than I am now, but the whole family was like looking at, I was hysterically laughing. I had a realization, this is just after my enlightenment, I had a realization that my grandmother hadn't gone anywhere, and she was actually standing right there with me, watching the whole situation, the whole thing unfold. And it was hilarious, you know, completely hilarious. So it's not that you can't understand death because it's not a thing, you know, but you can understand that there is no such thing as death, because that's true. So,
Dave.
John, hey.
Hey, Hattie, did you say that there were 5 chapters on this meditation, or was that in ACIM?
The last 5 lessons.
Oh, the last 5 lessons in the 365.
So here's the thing, right? All of the lessons in the course are this. All of them. Okay? All of the lessons in the course are about you awakening to the reality of life that is within you. But the last 5 lessons specifically use that idea that we say God is and then we cease to speak, okay, as like the jumping off point for that action of mind that we call deep meditation, or whatever you want to call it. And who was it that Costa Rica? Where is it? There's so many people on the screen. Anyway, someone was saying about a talking meditation in Costa Rica where you would repeat the same thing again and again. So in the lessons preceding those last 5, that is actually what occurs. You'll be repeating like God is but love and therefore so am I, and you'll be repeating that to yourself silently in your own mind over and over. And you get to a point where through that repeating, you realize that all of a sudden the talking part of your mind that is saying the lesson is getting that talk or getting that thought from a higher part of the mind back here somewhere. And this is where I really don't know how to talk about this. It's kind of like you start to transcend in there where the words are just thought. I don't know how to really describe that. And you kind of slip into the point where God is but love and so therefore so am I no longer becomes a linear expression where the concept is played out in your mind, but it becomes the action of your mind. Okay? And then the lessons after that, we say God is, and then we cease to speak. When I started doing those we say God is lessons, I would always precede them for a little bit with like God is but love and therefore so am I. And then I would notice my mind slipping into that quietness, and I would just cap it off and say God is. And then I would try to hold my mind in silent readiness to hear for as long as I possibly could, which at the beginning wasn't very long. It definitely wasn't the half an hour to an hour that the lesson suggested.
Thank you.
You got to start somewhere. You got to practice somewhere. Now, of course, like it's it's as quick as that.
That's what I want.
No, you've got it already. You ready?
Yeah, you're right.
There. All you have to do is let yourself receive.
Yep.
And that's true communication. That communication, it goes with you everywhere, all day, all night. But unless you learn to call upon it, unless you learn and teach yourself that you're worthy and can actually have that, you know, fundamentally, human beings don't want happiness for no reason at all. They want it because it's qualified by their other ideas of unhappiness. I want happiness because happiness looks like this, you know. These definitions that I've given these particular situations are qualified to me because they make me feel happy. And these other ones, I don't want them because they don't make me feel happy. They're actually happiness as well, right? But you're choosing to experience that happiness as unhappiness, right? So God's will for you is perfect happiness. That's all that exists. Doesn't mean that because you have this idea of free will that you can not somehow choose to experience that freedom and that happiness as imprisonment. We get very good at doing that. People call it self-sabotage and all sorts of things, you know. But we do that because we want to do that. It's not an accident. We're not victims. We've just forgotten that we made a decision somewhere that that's what we chose to want to do. And then we walk around going, how come this keeps happening to me? How come my swimming pool just collapsed this morning on my way to the Zoom meeting? Right? It's a blessing. Everything's a blessing. But those opportunities where we think something's causing us to be sad, they're literally the work. You know, you don't have to do any of the work, particularly with the things that you think make you happy, because every happy thought is a true thought. Its origins come from God's will for you, right? Because you're not separate from God. But it's like where I'm projecting out my fear and my anxieties and my pain and my everything else onto the world I think I see. That's the work for me to do. Okay. That's where the light experience, that's where this happens. Right? This is a journey into fear. This is not a journey into some spiritual kind of rainbows and lollipops kind of land where we all put on bloody beads and, you know, it's not that. It has that in it. It's all, you know, it's not that, but we've got the work.
Yeah.
You know? Be about your Father's business.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Rachel.
Yeah, I have a question. Is it doable to practice this type of meditation without it being guided?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, my greatest hope for you is to make myself completely redundant to you.
Right. Is it not counterproductive though, like to give myself the self-correction of stay in it? Am I pulling myself out of it by giving the self-correction? Like that's
tell me. Are you happy? Does that make you happy if you do that?
Correct myself? No, not generally.
Right. So it's either going to be a blessing or a lesson. Okay. What am I seeing that I'm doing in my own mind when I do that, when I pull myself out of the correction? Right? You can't correct yourself. Okay. If you're trying to correct your own thinking conceptually, that's not true correction. That's kind of like a very early stage of looking at your thinking and realizing that it's really not serving you. Right? But the correction has to be miraculous. Okay? Because this isn't a journey in I can fix my own thinking. This is a journey in I'm learning that I'm one with God, or remembering that I'm one with God as I have always actually ever been. All right? So what we're doing is reconnecting that relationship or rekindling that relationship in our own awareness through learning to become miracle-minded by deferring all of our corrections to God, right? Without necessarily having any idea of what God is. It's like there's a little leap of faith that happens every time, you know. So,
thank you.
I used to do that. Trust me, I used to do that all the time. You know, I'd be walking around and I'd have some horrible judgmental thought about someone or something. And then all of a sudden I tell myself, oh, no, don't think like that. Don't think like that. That's not very nice. I'm supposed to be thinking better and, you know, and all of this sort of stuff. And then the next thing you know, another horrible thought would come in because nothing had actually changed. All I'd done was try to convince myself that I shouldn't think a certain way. It's not like changing a habit where you're a little kid and you pick your nose and all of a sudden you're in public and you realize as you get older that it's not really acceptable to be picking your nose in public and you can just stop doing that. You know, it's like, well, hang on a minute. This is my thoughts. This is my mind. I'm the one that got myself into this mess. I'm hardly likely to be the best qualified to get me out of it.
Right. If I knew how to do it, I would have done it by now.
Exactly. Yeah. Ready? Miracle-mindedness. Say it to me. Miracle-mindedness.
Miracle-mindedness.
Yes. You're learning to become miracle-minded. Everything with God. Everything with God.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And thanks to God for you. That's good. Are we done? Yeah, Tina. So this one, we'll put it up. Put it up. Put the link for this. You've recorded this, have you, or not? Or
I have. Yeah, you want this one up?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Put this one up in the group, the messenger group, the link.
Give me a day.
And you guys that have been with this, who was it that said they missed the beginning? Somebody. But Skylar over there. You can go back and you can just watch, because at the beginning I did a kind of a preamble for the whole thing, to see where you're at with it and everything.
You guys are all in the group chat, right?
Huh?
Yeah, everyone's in the group chat because that's where it's going to be.
If you're not in the messenger group chat, contact Tina, who's here to my, whatever that is, my left, my right.
Let me put my
I
stuff
don't know
in.
how everyone shows up on everyone else's devices.
I'm actually above you. From my vantage point.
You're to my left.
Email, Tina?
My vantage point. What's that? I'm going to put my name in right now.
I was going to say, do we need to friend request you and then, or?
I don't know how that works. I don't know.
So Tina Tyler, Tyna. You should put your real name up there for a second, Tina.
I am.
Awa, we'll put you in. Anybody that wants in, we'll put you in. We can do it.
Yep. Contact Wendy and Travis, or Tina, or even me. I'm not too untechnical, but I'm getting there. Just got to get a bit of battery for my iPad. All right, blessings. Peace. Thank you, everyone. And watch this again before next week, because we'll do a little light session at the end of next week, okay? And it's pretty interesting. I'm pretty stoked how this all works out on this kind of particular forum. You know, there's no limit to communication. So, but everything's always like a calling forward, a calling for more and everything. So I'm sure that there's a greater potential for the use of this medium. And I'm pretty keen to be guided with that along with you guys, and let's see where we go. It's an incredible journey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, Tina. Cheers, Dave.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Glad you in. Wendy and Travis.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. I don't know how to. Oh, hang on.
Goodbye. Love you.
Peace out. Yeah, peace out.
There you go. All right. Love you guys. Doug, you still here? I thought you was leaving. Bye, friends. Late, yo. Go to sleep. Cynthia, sleep. Early. Go to sleep, love. All right, you guys. I'm outie. Thank you.